Good morning, Delaware and surrounding areas. You are now tuned in to this week's Coffee with Curry. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. with new guests every week. So grab your cup of coffee and join us on Coffee with Curry.
There was a bill, HB 466.
Mm-hmm.
It did not make it to committee, to my understanding.
It did not make it to me.
Could you help? Are you aware of that bill?
I am aware of that.
Could you help me a little bit with that?
I honestly, no. That did not make it to the committee. I can't say why exactly, but these are big, complicated bills. They will require a lot of change, not only in our policy and our practices, but in our understanding of what environmental justice is, justice in general, and what that means. In Delaware, we tend to resist these things. We like jobs. And so the business community, sometimes the development community, they will say, or the industrial community, they'll say, this is going to be too complicated. It's going to be too hard. It's going to cost us jobs. It's going to decrease our ability to attract new employers to the state. That is an old excuse.
Right.
We don't know that that is really the case. And when people oppose bills like this, that's often their argument. And they will say you're trying to hinder job growth.
But at the risk of people's lives.
At the risk of people's lives and their health. And again, it's not fair. So we're not trying to be anti-job, anti-growth, anti-business, anti-industry. We are trying to be equitable in our public policy, absolutely. Specifically our environmental policy.
Yeah, because I'm just sitting here thinking if this affected the more privileged communities, it would be addressed appropriately and immediately.
Yeah.
So because it's really not in the privileged communities where you find the most injustice, I think it becomes, this is too complicated. We don't want to deal with this.
I think there is a degree of truth to that. Wow. I think it is a hard adjustment for people to make in their thinking. We have not adjusted to the idea of climate change. Yeah. We know there are a good number of people who believe it. They understand the science. They know it's coming. They also know it's going to require some very serious adjustments, both in the way we plan our communities, how we transport ourselves, transportation, the things that we consume. They are basic lifestyle adjustments that feel hard, but we haven't given them a chance. We haven't tested it. And, we know it's coming, but we still haven't made the leap to changing our ways.
Now, do you think that the lack of, I got to stop using that word interest and start using the word awareness. The lack of awareness is really causing some serious health issues for a lot, especially our underprivileged community?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we know for many complicated reasons, right? Access to health care, access to health insurance. That is a real barrier for some folks. But then, you're forced to live in a community, or you choose to live in a community that is your home, has been your longtime home, where there are these negative health impacts from pollution. In some places in the country, they call these areas, we call them environmental justice communities or overburdened communities. In some areas of the country, they're called sacrifice zones. And the implication is we are willing to sacrifice human health, compromise human health for some other trade-off.
But is that normally in the privileged communities?
No, it is not.
And that's what and really for those of you who are watching us today, that's really what I'm trying to make sure I keep nailing home. We have to start paying attention to our environment because you can't see it, but you certainly inhale it. Is that fair?
That is exactly right.
And because you inhale it, it's what they call a slow killer. Mm-hmm. And we really need to be paying attention. I'm asking these specific questions because oftentimes you all are not involved or at the table. I don't know which camera's on me, but you may not be at the table. And because you're not at the table, it becomes, okay, I think I heard the language from Mark, sacrifice communities?
Sacrifice zones.
Sacrifice zones. Pay attention. There's an importance on this issue, and we have to start reacting to the importance of this moment. Because if you have been outside and see how hot, climate change is real. But I remember years ago when I was a younger guy, I'll say if you don't mind if I say it like that, there was a push. Folks were saying lead poisoning doesn't mean nothing. Leave it alone. It's not important. Let's not get involved in all of that. Paint the house, do what you got to do, it's fine. And then when the studies came out with some of the privileged people who found themselves in some serious situations because of lead poisoning, then it became an issue. And I'm going to continue to press you on while you're giving us the good information. I need to know why we are not aware of this. And all of the politicians, I have many who watch this show, they need to understand this is going to become a very strong conversation, because I need to know at some point, not from you, because I'm going to do my own research and I'm going to deal with this on the source. I need to know who's not pushing this forward, because this community, the underprivileged community, the communities that didn't have all the voices that others have, need to be able to say, I'm heard, I'm cared for, I'm respected. And it's not happening right now. This is me speaking. I don't want you to get in any trouble because, you know, when you belong to these nonprofits, people tend to start choking you if you do too much. I'm saying it, and that's why I became so interested, because right now we're dealing with an injustice, and it's always a plight on the underprivileged, the black and brown people, but not only black and brown, but it does happen there. So I really wanted to hear that clearly and get a true understanding, so that everybody who's watching us can say, you know what, I got it, I understand it. Especially for those people who have to live in a home where you can't even have air conditioning, but you got fans in the windows and you barely can breathe. You're finding yourself at the doctor quite often. All of those things matter. We have to take care of our environment.
This church was probably maybe a year or so before I really heard anything back from them. And so I had already moved to Phoenix, Arizona, hoping that this would be where I was for a long time in Phoenix, Arizona, and got a call and they said, hey, you know, we really want to have a conversation with you. In my mind, it's like, well, I just literally moved to Phoenix, Arizona. I've been there less than a year. And as I was praying that night, I said, God, I don't know, this is not what I expected. I thought I wasn't even in this process. And I just felt God say, just trust me. Just trust me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I had a conversation with the church and they said, well, you know, are you preaching in the area? And I was on the Pentecost Sunday at United Metropolitan in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I was going back to preach. Pastor was out of town that week and I was going back to preach for him. And they came over, they heard me preach that morning at United Metropolitan. And I got a call from one of the deacons right after the service. He said, Reverend, how long are you in town? I said, well, I'm in town tonight and I'll leave sometime tomorrow afternoon. He said, can I pick you up and take you back to get you some dinner and meet with a few folks? And so I go back and Deacon takes me. I'm thinking, you know, it's about an hour drive from Winston-Salem to Burlington, North Carolina. And it comes and gets me. I walk in to a conference room. They've got dinner, but it's a whole search committee.
Oh, wow.
And unprepared, let's just say that. Amen. Unprepared for that kind of meeting. And so they said, you know, we really feel that God is calling us to present you to the church as pastor, as pastoral candidate. And so I said, okay, all right. And that night, when I left, they said, we really feel this call. God's calling us. Presented me to church, came to preach, and overwhelming majority, if you will, called me as the youngest pastor. And that church is at the time around close to 150 years. First person in their 20s. I was called at 28 years old to that church there in Burlington, North Carolina, and I pastored there for about 6 years. Felt kind of a call of God to leave that assignment. It was when I left, I got a million calls. People were like, well, Doc, you don't leave a church like that. But I said, you know, I've been praying about it. I feel like God is saying to God is saying to take some time away. Just share, during that time period, I had both a stroke and a seizure, and seizures. And so I feel God calling me to do something a little different. And we felt a call to kind of the Philadelphia kind of area. My wife's family's from the Philadelphia area. Did some hospice chaplaincy and launched a consulting business where I consult with churches and pastors around kind of strategic planning, around coaching executive leaders as well, and did that for a while, and just kind of thought, hey, this is what God's calling me to do, and I get kind of a ring about an opportunity in Nashville, Tennessee, which was not on my radar, not on my radar, and so. It was to go out to Nashville and help plant a campus.
Plant a campus, okay.
Plant a campus. Watson Grove Baptist Church with Dr. John Faison is there, who's also an amazing preacher.
Yes.
And so we talked and had a conversation, just kind of immediately kind of connected, kind of flew me out. It was in the heart of the pandemic when I went out. So it was kind of interesting having conversations with people where you're kind of spread out across a room. And God blessed me to be able to take the experiences from First Baptist in Burlington, where we went to a church that was an Asian congregation, and we saw our church grow younger. We saw our attendance nearly double in about those 6 years, saw an exponential growth in our finances. And so took those experiences and partnered with a pastor. And came on as executive pastor, where I was managing day-to-day operations between both our Nashville campus and our Franklin campus, and also serving as campus pastor at our Franklin campus. And man, I tell you, I learned a lot about ministry during COVID, because COVID, I think for all of us, we had to relearn how to do church again.
That's right.
And so I think I say one of the things about COVID was it forced us to reimagine ministry and to really think through what is the heart of what we do. When all of the fanfare, the crowds are gone, and you're left and you say, God, we are wholly dependent on you. Have your way. And so stayed about 3 years there, and felt a call again of God moving us back to this area. And so talked to Pastor Faison again, always spiritual leader. And we just had a conversation. I said, there's a church in Delaware, and I really feel like God is calling us to consider it, And we talked about it, prayed about it. And it's one of those things where when things are going really well, it's hard to have those conversations. And so he was like, well, Reverend, you sure you prayed? Yes, I prayed. So, well, okay, let's pray about it some more. And so received his blessing as well to say, okay, let's be open to what God will do in this place. And here I am in Wilmington, Delaware, at Shiloh Baptist Church. Yes. And so it's been a journey of moving from a multi-site church to moving to a church in Wilmington that's a single-site church. But man, I tell you, I have been received so well by the people at Shiloh Baptist Church, and Dr. Clifford Johnson has really done an amazing work of building a healthy congregation. And so from when we first came to visit Shiloh, we were leaving, and I remember my wife said to me, she said, I think this is the place.
One of the things I love about Delaware is that at our best, we don't always live up to this, but at our best, we are a state of neighbors. My former boss, Jack Markell, always used to call us that. And in a state of neighbors, when you're running for office, you often run against, particularly in a primary, people who you respect and consider friends. And, I started out this campaign running alongside, I don't even say running against, running alongside two really good Delaware Democrats, Eugene Young and Colleen Davis. And during the course of this campaign, my respect for both of them only grew. Colleen eventually exited the race in March due to some health issues. Eugene exited the race in June. But I was a better candidate running alongside them because we, I think, brought out the best in one another. We were all good candidates working hard, providing a positive, empowering vision for this state and this country. And I think the people of the state benefited from that. I benefited from that. And I'm just so grateful that in that campaign, all of us ran issues-focused campaigns, talking about our own positive records and, most importantly, the needs and the hopes of the people that we were seeking to represent.
Yeah, and I was also impressed with the fact that, sometimes when you don't have really any competition during a primary or whatever, people just don't vote.
Yeah.
But your numbers were exceptionally great.
Thank you. I'm really proud that we didn't take anything for granted, and we assembled, at the end of the day, a coalition that included unions and small business owners. It included Delawareans in Wilmington and Newcastle and Kent and Sussex, people of every background, every faith, every race, every gender, every background and identity that exists within our state was part of this coalition. We even had Republicans of conscience helping us. And that's, a testament to, like you said, the kind of race we ran, the coalition, and the goodness that fills this state. And I'm proud that in the primary, we won every representative district in this state. Yeah. We won every subdivision of the party in this state, every precinct. And that's a byproduct of the coalition that we've built and continue to try to grow as we head into the general election.
Wow. And, earlier, just a few minutes ago, you spoke of one of my favorite politician or public servants, and that's Jack Markell. One of the best. I've only been in Delaware for about 25 years now, and the best governor we've had, in my opinion, was Jack Markell. He found a way to help the common folks to become and be better.
Yes.
What was it that got you interested in politics?
So, I got involved at a relatively young age. I had the opportunity to work for Jack Markell when he was running for governor. It was actually the first job that I had in politics, was organizing for his campaign in 2008 when he ran for governor the first time. And I got involved in many ways as a byproduct of my own crisis of hope as a young person. As a young person growing up, I was blessed with an amazing family, loving parents, opportunities that I cherish and value. But I also was scared, and I was also someone who was different than other people. And I worried that the heart of this nation just wasn't big enough to love someone like me. And I worried that our politics wouldn't see a lot of invisible folks in our society. And I went searching for hope. And I found hope in the possibilities that are in our politics, because I saw that the through line of every chapter in our nation's history has been the story of advocates, activists, and a handful of courageous elected officials working together to right the wrongs of our past, to address injustice, to bring people from the shadows and the margins of society into the circle of opportunity. And I found hope in that. I found hope that politics can be a place where we address the inequities and the injustices in our world. I mentioned I grew up on the west side of Wilmington, over in the Highlands area, and I went to school on the east side of Wilmington. Every day, I'd, with my parents, drive from the west side of Wilmington to the east side of Wilmington. And you could see the stark divides that exist in the city, right? You could see the inequities that exist in the city and the difference in income that from Highlands to the east side were so blatant in just a 5-minute drive. And you see within that, you see the racial disparities that exist in our society and the injustice that causes those racial disparities. And for all of those reasons, I decided to get involved, because I think that in a state of neighbors, in a nation as wealthy and developed as the United States, we have no excuse to let injustice or inequities fester and persist. We have to build governments that see and respect all of us, because if that's not the case, then we're not truly a healthy democracy, and we end up leaving far too many people behind. So I got involved, worked for Governor Markell, worked for our former Attorney General, the late Beau Biden. Oh, yeah. Those were my two mentors growing up. I was blessed to learn from them. And I eventually, with their love and support, worked on non-discrimination protections here in Delaware in 2013, protecting people from discrimination in employment, housing, public spaces. Eventually had the opportunity to intern in the Obama White House in 2012, and then work nationally at the federal level on non-discrimination protections in the broader democratic progressive movement. And so I've seen those possibilities in our politics come to fruition. I've seen them come to reality. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to run, is I know we can do better. Right. I know we can deliver change that once seemed so impossible that it was incomprehensible, not into possibility, but into reality. And I see every single day, representing the state now, every single day in my own life, how much more needs to be done to not only build a government that sees and respects everyone, but to actually deliver the policies that help people pursue their dreams, the kinds of policies that support working people, the kinds of policies that address injustice, the kinds of policies that guarantee that our kids are safe and provided the kinds of opportunities they need and they deserve to reach their fullest potential. There's so much we can do. We've done a lot of that at the state level, but there's so much more to do at the federal level in particular to guarantee that every young person in Delaware, every person in Delaware is able to reach their fullest potential.
Yeah, as you're speaking, I was thinking, in order for us to take serious that we need to save our democracy, as you were speaking, I thought about it in an even deeper dive, in that it takes a person who may have been afraid. It takes a person who may have been marginalized to be able to get the power and then speak up. To ensure that no one will feel like you once may have or be afraid. And I've grown to appreciate the fact that the struggle that I struggle with, there's others who struggle as well. And unless we become open as a continue, because America is bigger than of one view. And I've learned that. And as a pastor, it was hard in some areas because, there's a hard line, right, wrong, in between. But even as a pastor, it becomes sometimes now, as I'm watching various groups that are marginalized, various things where people feel like this way is the only way. I'm grateful that no one get to choose what religion I serve. And in understanding that, and as an educated person, I then now understand that I have to open up and make sure that I am not discriminating against someone else who may not see things my way.
And so once I was elected as county executive and I heard from budget people, these after-school programs are too expensive. We don't have money for this. I said, no. For a lot of kids out there and a lot of families, these after-school and weekend activities, it's a matter of equal opportunity. For a few, quite frankly, it's a matter of life or death. It's a matter of changing the trajectory of their lives. It's an opportunity for kids who sometimes are struggling in school to go, thrive in arts and music and other things, maybe video games, things that they don't have an opportunity to pursue during the school day. So when I was county executive, we had a summer youth employment program. I was passionate about getting resources to make sure that kids after school throughout the school year and then in the summertime could engage in constructive activities, and families who didn't have the resources could be supported to do that. We plan to take those programs and dramatically expand them at the state level.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching us, it is important that you understand why I even brought that up. Yes, we are recipients of 3 of those young people who work in our office. They come to work every day. They dress appropriately for what we have them doing, and they're not out on the street cleaning. They're doing office administrative work, learning skills, social skills, how to interact with adults and things of that nature. And as I sat back and evaluated, I never really said anything to County Exec Myers, but I say it to his team all the time. This has been the best gift to people who we serve. And that's why I want to make sure people understand is more than just what he's saying, what he could do or would do is what you've already done. And I want everybody who's watching, and like you say, polls are polls, and I'm grateful that they're in your favor. But it's going to take us getting out and saying we're not going to let certain named people influence us to vote for the establishment. The establishment has caused us to be in the place where we are today. The establishment has caused us to be able to say, you know what, murders are up. Shootings, especially in the African American and the Latino community. We have to now go against the establishment and the individuals who are paid by the establishment to continue to give you a chicken dinner instead of teaching you how to catch the chicken or to catch the fish. So I'm begging you to please. Now, I often say on my shows, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I'm with Matt. That's on you. I can't tell you who to vote for. If you really want to do something against the odds, against the people who just established, it's time for us to make a decision and make it clear. And I think people are starting to see that, Matt, that you know what, the same old is just not working. Right. I want to go back because I don't want to do too much talking because I got another whole week to really try to push the message of positivity for those individuals who are doing well, who we're supporting in this campaign. You are currently serving as the exec for the county. You did talk about the police department, the education part. How much control, because I don't know this answer, how much control does the county have over the educational system? Or what is your interaction with that?
Right now, very little. They make us collect taxes for the schools. We don't set school taxes. Okay. Each school district sets their taxes, and they basically, the county government at no fee to the taxpayers collects money for schools and then gives them the money, and they do whatever the state government and school district decides to do.
So how do you now turn that to now being in charge of the school system?
We've done a lot of things outside of schools. Mm-hmm. You mentioned our after school programs. We also started a program called 1,000 Kids Coding that's enabled over 1,100 students, primarily students of color, to learn computer coding. Mm-hmm. Over 50 of them have gotten jobs at JP Morgan Chase, paid jobs. Wow. We say we're teaching low-income kids high-income skills. Right, we want to train you to be the millionaire of tomorrow, and so we've done that. You asked me about, I forgot your question.
How would you use the big budget?
Oh yeah, how we use the big budget because we haven't done. Yeah, I mean the first thing is looking at equity, making sure that schools within the city of Wilmington need to be excellent. Mm-hmm. Our public schools need to be a point of pride. Mm-hmm. There are some good elements. You go to Bancroft, Bayard, right, Stubbs. There are some things going well. I think there's a lot more we can do, or I should say Pritchett. Sorry, not Bancroft was last year. Now Maurice Pritchett, senior. Yeah. And so we're going to be laser focused on how we get not a decent education to these kids, but the highest quality education. I think every kid across this state deserves an equal opportunity to attain an excellent education, every single student. And as long as that's not the case, we're going to be working tirelessly to get more and more resources into the classroom, particularly to those students and schools and classrooms that are under-resourced. And we're also going to make sure that we attract and retain the highest quality educators. The educator salaries is a real point of importance to me. I remember Lance Love, who maybe is watching, I don't know. I hope he doesn't mind me saying 10 years ago, he was making $42,000 a year and he had just had a child. His wife, they decided they needed to make 50 grand and we couldn't figure out how to get 50 grand to him, so he left. This is a young black male, military veteran. He was exactly what we needed in a school like Prestige, but we didn't have the money to keep him. That happens too often in Delaware schools. We're gonna work to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And I almost wanna not recognize myself. In this year. Like I want to grow to a point where I really see the growth. Like, you know how you grow and it can be incremental and it's so small that you can tell, but you're not like blown away. But I really want to grow. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Like exponentially and vastly this year, just like spiritually and then personally. And then I've gotten away from resolutions. I don't do resolutions at all. I just try to continue along the path that I, in my head, I say to myself, like, this is what we need to work on, or this is what I want to see done or happen or bloom in this year. So I just really want to be intentional this year. Like I really want to take pause and be intentional in everything I do this year instead of a fly by the seat of my pants type of thing. I give thought to a lot of things. I can't be your wife. I can't be the first lady of the church. I can't be her mother if I'm just so, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you know what I mean. It takes method, thought, and intentionality. But just my personal petitions and things of that nature, that's what I want to do. I want to be intentional this year, even more so for me personally, and just experience a growth that I'll say, wow.
Good. What about you, Miss Ashley?
What was the question?
The question.
I done talked so long, I made the child
question
forget.
is, what are you looking for in the year of 2024?
Like Mommy said, growth, but I also kind of want, you know what?
Oh, no, I don't.
A sibling.
Oh, geez.
Oh, Lord. She done, child, Christmas is over. Mary has left
I can hear somebody say she want what?
That job was already filled.
She says, I want a sibling. Well, we're going to see if the Lord will send somebody to be a sibling. But I hear you, baby. I understand. And it's interesting. I interview a lot of people on this show. This is the first time I done went wordless because I had nothing to say on that one.
They still have those doorstep.
Yeah. Yes, and if you have a baby and you do not want the baby, we're willing to take the baby. Yes. We'll do it that way. But that's good, Ashley. And I agree. Being the only child is sometimes difficult. But we try to allow you to do what you have to do so you can keep that young
and
touch.
You have a first sibling. She's not making it. She's not making
she's
a
not
cut.
Here today. That's what we forgot.
She's been yelling at me for the past couple of days.
She's bucking. I don't know what's going on with her.
Yeah, I think she's getting a little older. And
we're talking about our Morky too, by the way.
Miss Kendall the Morky.
Yeah.
She gets a little skittish, and then I think she still thinks she owns you.
Yeah.
She's been growling at me for multiple days straight.
Yeah, she has this new bone that we bought her for Christmas. We bought her some new treats. And she's loving these big bones that she now has, and she's very protective of them.
Yeah.
So anybody who gets near them, because she growled at me. She growled at me for it because she thought I was coming for her bones.
She growled at Daddy too.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So don't take it personal.
You know?
Don't take it because she growled at him.
Yeah.
Like something's on. So
I was in the 5 a.m. prayer call. She comes in, scratches it, and pushes the door open. And what did she have? That bone in her mouth. So I tried to take the bone out while I was talking to the people in the call, and she started growling. I said, okay, I don't want them to hear that, so I just leave it alone. Yeah. But yeah, so I understand that. And one of the things that we are looking at as we are growing together, Ashley, is there some things that you may want to do for this year? Or are you pretty much set on already where you are? Because I do want to take a minute.
What do you mean by that?
Like, are there some things that you may want to do in this year? Go or participate in, or things of that nature?
Like trips with my friends.
Oh, you want to do some trips with your friends and mommy? Yeah. Okay.
See how he did that?
Yeah. Well, Daddy, because it's girls, I always make sure that you have that. I don't want.
I have mainly female friends. Right. I have only about like 7 guy friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, one of the things that touched my heart, and I want to just, we don't do things so that you can talk about it, and we won't even get into where it happened at. But you wanted to do something for the homeless during the Christmas day, and what really kind of led you to do that? Want to do that?
Because like I felt bad because like they didn't get the chance that some other people got, and like they had to be out in the cold during the cold winter, and like I wanted to at least help them a bit if it could like help them out to like stay a bit warmer or be a bit cleaner during the Christmas season.
Yeah. I thought it was just really
and I brought a friend too.
Yes, and you did. One of your girlfriends did go with us as well. But one of the things that happened is that she decided a part of her Christmas was, I want to bless you hear me say these words, bless somebody who can't bless you back. Kind of is what she did. And on Christmas, after we ate breakfast or something of that nature, then we came out and went to a certain section of the city and we just gave out gifts. But the gifts weren't just something to give people. It was something they needed, such as like the hats, the gloves, the warmers, and things of that nature. And I want to say to all of you who are watching us, I had shared with my daughter because I don't want anything to crush her spirit. So in the car, I said to her and her friend, I said, just in case they say something to you that is mean or aggressive, they don't mean it. It may be their condition. Well, we got out of the car. They were handing them out to everybody. Everybody was coming, and it was just
We
going.
didn't realize how many people there was going to be.
Yeah,
There's a lot more than expected.
Yeah, and we prepared for a nice amount, but it's next year we're going to do it bigger. Am I right?
We're going to be ready,
and we're going to be ready with a whole lot more. Yeah. But when we get out of the car and everybody is coming and they are grateful, they are saying thank you. They are being kind. They are being compassionate and appreciative. And when we get back in the car, Daddy, they were really nice people, and they are. I just I wanted to, just in case somebody was going through a bad moment, I didn't want her to be crushed, but it was a great experience, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And you were ready, and you're ready to do it again, right? So maybe we don't need to wait till Christmas. Maybe we'll try to do it again, because the Bible teaches us not to share.
Let your good deeds be like open.
Yeah.
But you're, like you said, you're not saying it for
publicity.
Like publicity and being braggadocious.
Yeah.
You're just saying we do have to be mindful and share the heart of God and do, because God does say that. Like
we
He
did
tells
have
us to help
funny
consider
experiences that day, because when I told that I wanted to go to the church when my friend was with us, and I was hungry, so I wanted to go into the shop and get a snack. And I used my dad's key so I could get into the door. And me and my friend walked in there, we grabbed a couple of snacks, and then I left the key in there.
And we were locked out. And because I couldn't get in my car, and we had to call one of our deacons to let us back in, right?
Yep. He was in his pajamas.
Yeah, he was. But we are grateful. We are grateful for the heart, and I think that's what's most important, regardless of the mistake that was made with the key.
Local news and politics in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. The latest headlines with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry.
But they get rich, getting new cars, getting new houses, getting new opportunities, but the community is still getting nothing.
And co-host Kobe Owens.
And from that time, we have slowly seen our democracy become under attack.
Weekly episodes. Sundays at 5 p.m. The Source. Join us live for our weekly worship. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church.
The line 302-252-8982. Please contact me, please reach out. If you need assistance with your school, or if you're looking to get into school, Community Staffing Agency is the place to be.
And that's why I don't want anyone who's watching us today to think I'm just trying to boost him up or get free tickets because I'm a season older. I got my tickets, and I'm not looking for a job neither.
Right.
I can't coach anyway, so it doesn't matter. But he said to me, his boys, I think he had two sons that went there.
Sons.
And he spoke to what you did in their character. Yes, they played. Mm-hmm. But he didn't speak to the athletes, their ability to play. He spoke to how you impact their character. And he will always, this is what he says to me, I will always be grateful for him.
Wow.
And he promised me, and Doc, if you're watching, because I'm gonna send you this if you're not, you promised me you was gonna go surprise him. So I'm gonna try to get him there for at least one of the games this year, because he promised he was going to come, because he really spoke. And I was shocked. I was like, oh my Lord, yours reaches very far. But his sons went to Stanford too, and they were a part of your team, I believe it was.
Yeah, that's powerful, and that does me all the good to hear that, because his sons, they were really good players.
Yeah.
And we won state championships together. And he's not talking about the basketball. He's talking about the relationship and the character development, and those are the things that will go a long way. Like I said, I've been doing it long enough now, Pastor, that I'm getting invites to their weddings and their baby christenings and all of those things, which to me, it signifies that we've done the right things and we built relationships that'll be life-lasting.
And you're getting old.
And I'm getting old.
Yeah, you can say that part too.
out. And I'm getting old, for sure.
Yeah, but that's great. Coach, share whatever you want to share with the audience, because they're happy to see you here today. Anything you want to share to help some young person or some person, is your moment.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll start just by saying always gratitude. Gratitude, to take a moment for anybody who's done anything for you or with you, to express gratitude. And I would certainly be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to thank you for you've always been there and supportive of me and my family and whatever venture it is that I am. So I'm thankful for that. And you know, success does not happen in a vacuum. You don't do it alone. You don't do it on your own. There's always somebody who's poured into you. And I would say always take a moment to express your gratitude and to thank people for what they have poured or instilled in you. And I want to thank you.
Well, and I thank you too, because I don't care when I call you, you come out. I said to Tony one time, I said he's a very humble, real brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Because some people are not real. They're humble, but they're not real. But
I appreciate
you are very much both, and I appreciate it. I wish you all guys all the luck, or blessings in our case, for this season to come.
Then I created an organization called the God Brothers in 2015, which is still going on to this day. I had mentored over 150 young guys for that transition from high school to college, to help them, because I didn't have that.
Right.
But once again, you know, I kept pushing through, and I will always be that guy where, you know, even when I'm down, you know, 3-1, I'm still going to make it to the finals, and I'm still going to win. So.
And that could speak to why you went to Kappa, because you wanted to go to the underdogs. I understand that kind of stuff. I understand your whole mentality. It sounds good to me, and you're doing the right thing. Yeah. Brother, let me say this. Very few people, African-American males in your age, in your time, speak as highly of their father as you do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand how critical it is for fathers to be in their sons' lives. I know you had an outstanding mom, and it goes. You don't have to say anything for people to know you had an outstanding mom. But was there any particular moments that you really highlight, that you appreciate your dad to another? He gave you one when he talked about don't quit, but are there any others?
My dad was just a warrior. You know, he showed up every day for me, so I can totally appreciate that. Even to this day now, like if I call him and I say, hey, listen, Dad, we have something that we need to take care of, he's not asking no questions, he's showing up. So, you know, for a guy, for a father, I think that's the ultimate thing, just showing up for your kids. You know, I think sometimes people are expecting so much other things, but for me, just him showing up every day for me is most important, and he does that countless times. We have a toy drive every year. He's the guy that's setting up everything. I don't gotta ask him. He's like, I'm here. We're getting ready for our book bag drive. He's like, listen, whatever you need. So he just said, whatever you need, Father. And you know, it was his birthday last week. So we went out, we played pool together, had a good time. And you know, I'm actually happy now that where I'm at in my life, I get an opportunity to pour back into the same thing he poured into me, so we can have a good time together.
That's the cycle of life.
So you know, I'm just so blessed to even be able to have a father that's here today that I can be able to treat for his birthday and different things to that nature. So if you're watching, Dad, I love you dearly. Thank you so much for being there for me and showing up every day.
That just got you 5 more votes. So some father, some brother saw that and said, you know what, I'm gonna go talk to my son. That's really good.
Once I get in council, every time I make a decision, I will always explain why I made that decision. That's full transparency, because these are the people that got me in office. These are the people that voted and trusted me to make sure that I take care of the city. And also I'm there as a liaison to protect them every step of the way. As we talk about IPA, we got to protect our constituents. So I can't protect them if they don't feel like they have that trust, and we can talk and understand why I made those decisions. And I think that's a lot of times when I look on and I see what's going on, and I think that there's a better understanding that could happen when it's talking about information. So every step of the way, like I said, every step of the way, I will be informing what this democratic process look like for elections.
I got you.
When it's time to vote, why did I vote on this matter? Why I voted this way? And hopefully my constituents can understand, or also bring awareness to me. One thing I say is when you got 30 minds in a room, sometimes it's better than one. So somebody might be able to bring a light to what I might have missed. So you never know, but I'm just happy to be able to inform every step of the way, and that's key to me.
What district are you in?
Well, I'm in District 5.
Now, let me just stop there for a minute. Who is your current district?
It's Councilwoman Fields, Brigida Fields. Yeah.
All right. Who's a friend, a good person.
Yeah.
Now, as much as you liked in the 5th district, why did you take the harder road and go to the at-large?
Well, I'm basically, growing up, I felt like I was connected to every part.
Okay.
I basically went to school in Stubbs, went to PS, played basketball at DePal, Brown Boys Girls at West Center City, really had family and friends all over the neighborhood, and I just wanted to protect everybody. And also, once again, I just wanted to be able to expose the next generation to something that's happening. And I thought the whole city needed to see what was going on. Every kid that's dreaming about being the next mayor or next city council person, what does this actually look like? So for me, generational leadership was big. And, I think also when I look at the city of Wilmington, I think that it needed somebody right now that's going to has the time to be able to be boots on the ground at every place.
Okay.
I think I have the availability to be in every space and making sure that everybody's being protected. So
like the point guard.
Yeah, putting everything in perspective, putting everybody in the right place. And I'm gonna be a point guard for life. So.
Yeah, I see. It was really like God had answered prayer, because never have I heard in the last 9, 10, 12 years that we've been over here, anyone just simply ask for transparency and not allow the propaganda, not allow the PREYING, the preying on people, prevail. And you just stuck with your guns. That shows that Penn State communication must really be good. And I was so impressed with it. I said, you know what? Let's pray for him. Let's pray for him, because in my community, that's what we do. And what I was praying for is that you stay strong, and then the people of Southbridge will be represented for real. Right. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and I just wanna talk to you a little bit about what occurred during, especially the segment we're gonna show right now.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
The letter you sent to me as the executive director of the CDC stating us not sharing accountability and transparency of the grant monies that the CDC has gotten over here in Southbridge. Could you share what you're asking us, asking of me as an ED, so I can take it back to my board to respond to your request. After numerous requests of having a meeting with you so we can share and bring you up to speed, because you've only been in the position for 4 months. The new board's only been on the second meeting. We've been doing this work in Southbridge for 2.5 years. So I wanted to share with you, and you've had many requests of us and others to share with you what we're doing so that we can be clearly transparent. And I think my neighbors will clearly say that you are very much aware of the work that the CDC has done under my leadership as executive director that the community asked me to do, and the monies that's coming to the neighborhood and where those monies have gone. So speaking on behalf of the residents, I think I'm asking the neighbors to help me get clarity on what you're asking of me and why you would not allow me to share with my neighbors more resources that I'm bringing to the community.
Well, first and foremost, in regards to your board, isn't someone from the Civic Association supposed to sit on that?
No, my bylaws don't speak to that, and neither do yours. No, it does not.
I think it does in reference to that executive committee, but here's what we've been asking for. As you guys know, I've walked around with a petition asking for transparency within the community. She told me that she's basically funded by Health Communities of Delaware. I reached out to Healthy Communities Delaware and asked, can we be added in on the conversation of what the grants are going on, and just so we can make sure implementations happen. Because I'm in all these meetings, I'm hearing all these thousands of dollars coming in, but who can honestly say they're touching the streets?
Right.
Can you give me a finished product and done?
We went in your house. Whose house? I've got 25 houses in Southbridge, and we have 30
I'm asking for a completed project.
25. Wait, it won't be
In
finished.
2 years, in 2.5 years, can you give me a completed project?
Yes, 25 homes that have done renovations of side work on 25 homes. 50 in 3 years. So we're working on the next. There are 31 new houses. We do 25 at a time. We did 5. We did the remaining 20, and now we're working on the remaining 31.
It's not a completed project.
It's not completed. It's not to be completed until December of 25.
Can you give me another completed project that we've done here in the community?
From the SNAP? From the SNAP? From the SNAP.
Give me a completed project.
Well, I mean, I'm only responsible for housing, so I can't answer the other ones. And there is a chart. There is a chart. There was a retreat.
Correct.
So she showed up, but you was given those charts as to what they were. We're very far behind.
Yes, I've seen those charts. And you know, in 2.5 years, you know where your implementation percentage is? 12%. If I was 12% efficient at my job, I still wouldn't have it.
Well, that's 25% of all of the action items that to be done. But for the monies that I receive, I receive.
You don't know what you received.
I do. I received $1 million.
No, I said we don't know.
Who doesn't know that how much? Who doesn't know?
The Civic Association.
Who doesn't know?
We've done all we could, because here's
You've
my
done
thing.
nothing.
I've reached out. We reached out to your partners, and your partners sent me an email. They are not partners with us.
Who are not partners with? Who?
Healthy Communities of Delaware said they are not partnered with. They are not taking on any new partners. And the Civic Association cannot be a part of those conversations. How do you think that's fair?
That's between you and HCD. What I got to do with me? I don't tell them what to do.
Healthy Communities of Delaware is who you are funded by, correct?
Yes, and I don't tell them.
So we went straight to the source.
So I don't tell them who to fund, sir. I don't tell them who to fund.
What he's saying is that, so now, since we're not a part of it, that those opportunities really don't pertain to us because the Civic Association is not a part of it, so that makes the public not a part of it. Because this is our community.
So Ms. Anifa, Ms. Diane, the biggest thing is this, like, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the community that the residents haven't been aware of. I mean, everybody hasn't been coming to the meetings, but we hear them. So it's a lot of stuff that we don't know about. And it's like, it's a lot of things going on where our data is getting used and our neighborhood is getting used for funding.
And I told you that.
And, but I'm listening to what I'm saying, and it's like you got people taking all pretty much this bread and then giving the neighborhood the crumbs. Yo, you gotta make sure the people are straight first. I'm not saying you're not gonna get whatever you're gonna get. That's just, I know the game. But you gotta make sure the people is straight first. And all we asking, like these other organizations, is it's like, okay, if they gave you $1 million or they gave this Diane $500,000, the Civic Association, we don't want to control no money. We just want to make sure that the neighborhood feel that $500,000 or that $1 million. We don't want no money or to control anything. We just want to make sure that the people are getting taken care of.
And we're back. Great conversation. We just started really talking with the president of the Civic Association for here in Southbridge. I'm excited. I'm like, God, you've answered prayer, because he's going to hold all of us who call ourselves stakeholders in the Southbridge community accountable. And I'm using that language strong because it's not just he's going to hold them accountable. He's going to hold all of us. If we say that we are a part of the Southbridge community and we're here to augment it, then we have to put our money where our mouth is. If we're getting money from government, from people saying in the name of we're going to do it for Southbridge citizens, we ought to be transparent about it. And we not only transparent about it, but we ought to show where it's been, and we ought to show some accomplishments. So that's why I got excited that he would be here today. But something happened, and we just came off of the break where we saw a little exchange between you and another resident, the former president of the city council. And you had asked, she had asked, you know, about this petition that you were putting through the community for transparency.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about what that petition was about.
Well, the petition was more or less about, because
like I sit on all these Zoom calls, and you're hearing, different, various dollar amounts being thrown around, and back in my mind, I'm like, okay, when is Southbridge is actually going to see some of these dollars? When is the community going to be affected, and when is the community going to actually see some benefit as well? So, with that being said, I did reach out to some people who are claiming to, be stakeholders, and they were. But I was reaching out to some of the stakeholders, and I kind of got, stonewalled in terms of just as I was, like I said, as I professed it day one in my meeting as the president, I'm professing, transparency. And, I was asking some of these individual groups, hey, I understand that you've been operating in Southbridge. Hey, we just want to know what's going on. It's just one of those things where, hey, I'm a little bit new. I understand I'm coming in on the back end of some conversations. I completely understand that. But we just trying to, we were just looking for a seat at the table. Right. More or less. That was it. Right. And as a civic association, as the main part of all of these, groups and stakeholders who say they, are connected with us, we're basically using the civic's name without endorsement. Right. And, that led me to say, hey, okay, I can't just be, one entity, and going at these, different, organizations as one individual. So I knew that I needed community support with anything that I wanted to do, and in terms of transparency and asking for a seat at the table, that was the biggest thing with my petition, because I wanted the residents to know, what was going on. Like I said, I kind of got stonewalled. So, in terms of asking for a seat at the table, and basically I wanted the community to know what was going on and make them aware and make sure I had their support in doing that.
As you were talking, I was thinking, thank God that there are still some people who have not been tainted, because by now, based on how that group operates, you would be destroyed. So obviously, I don't know your history, but obviously you must be pretty all right, because when I heard that exchange,
and again, that was something I did not want to have in public.
Right.
I mean, I asked her twice in the beginning before that even, escalated to the point where it did, that, hey, can we have this conversation, behind closed doors? Because it was one of those things where I didn't feel like, that was time or place.
Right, it wasn't. But you know what happens? That's the form where they get all their power. But they're used to it being just 2 or 3 or 4 who are already paid off or who are already doing what they got to do. Now, this is just me talking. I'm not putting this in your words. I'm using my own words, so I don't go to those meetings anymore. I'm gonna start showing up more now. But I will say to you that you were able to hold your own. And I'm shocked, because I was waiting for this. Is about 2 weeks now. I was waiting for a land-based moment where you would be slammed somewhere. But you did play football, so you know how to deal with that even too. But let me just say this to you: when I heard you asking, but first she asked, why are you asking for this information? And you said, because it's money coming in for Southbridge. Share with me success.
Accomplishments, yes.
Accomplishments, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's
like whatever you accomplish. Yes.
That's not even real just whatever you accomplish is the easiest thing for an organization who is named after the civic association, whose 501c3 is from the neighborhood house. What is your accomplishments? And did you get the answers yet?
I have not. I'm sorry, let me back up on that. I reached out to basically all the stakeholders in terms of who we've been having meetings with. MAPCO, Delaware Nature Society, who else? I forgot who Victor works for, I'm sorry. But no, I would say at least 50% of the people who we predominantly meet with, 100% reached out, and I had a very positive, very informative, and very transparent meeting with all of those people. Never once did, the email or the petition came up. It was basically just, they were being respectful, and they basically let me know, what part they played and where they were at in terms of their position in terms of the neighborhood and how they were operating. And yes, I had about 4 or 5 great meetings, my vice president and I, with some of the stakeholders, and we basically, we're on board with them. We still want to partner with them,
right?
Only because there are a lot of positive things still going on in the neighborhood.
Right.
Thank you for watching this episode of Coffee with Curry. Tune in next week, Sunday at 11 a.m.